Headlines often give the impression that history turns on sudden announcements, but the real forces shaping nations move quietly beneath the surface. What appears at first glance to be a simple corporate investment decision is, in reality, a strategic shift with long-term consequences. Microsoft's decision to commit billions of dollars to expanding its artificial intelligence infrastructure in Canada is not just a business story. It is a signal that the balance of technological trust in North America is changing. Before going any further, make sure to subscribe and leave a like to stay informed on the economic and political decisions reshaping the future of entire regions. These developments matter far beyond the headlines. Microsoft's $7.5 billion expansion represents one of the largest digital infrastructure investments in Canadian history. This is not a symbolic presence or a regional office meant to check a box. It is a deep, structural commitment involving large-scale data centers, advanced AI computing capacity, and long-term integration into Canada's national systems. Just as significant as where Microsoft chose to invest is where it did not. For decades, the United States was the default destination for technology giants building their most critical infrastructure. That assumption no longer holds. This shift reflects a broader recalculation happening across the global technology sector. Artificial intelligence is not a lightweight industry. It depends on massive energy supplies, advanced cooling systems, secure land access, water resources, and a highly skilled workforce. Every AI query triggers physical processes that consume electricity and generate heat. These realities force companies to think less about short-term profits and more about long-term stability. In that evaluation, Canada emerged as the safer bet. At the core of this decision is the growing importance of digital sovereignty. Data is no longer just information. It is economic power, political leverage, and institutional infrastructure. Where data is stored determines which laws govern it, which governments can regulate it, and which courts can compel access to it. For years, much of the world's digital life flowed almost automatically into US-based systems. That arrangement is now being questioned. Canada recognized this shift early. By emphasizing regulatory clarity, predictable governance, and legal continuity, the country positioned itself as a jurisdiction where long-term digital assets could be protected from political volatility. This approach gained urgency as the United States entered a period of sharper polarization, regulatory uncertainty, and institutional strain. For companies planning infrastructure meant to last decades, uncertainty is a cost they cannot afford. Energy and climate factors further strengthened Canada's position. Cooler temperatures reduce cooling demands for data centers. A diversified and expandable energy grid supports sustained growth. Long-standing public investment in education and research has produced a steady pipeline of engineers, scientists, and technical specialists. These advantages were not created overnight. They are the result of years of quiet policy decisions that rarely dominated public debate, but ultimately reshaped national competitiveness. Canada's strategy also acknowledged a fundamental reality of the modern economy. The companies capable of building AI infrastructure at this scale are global, not domestic. National strength does not require owning every corporation involved. It requires shaping the conditions under which those corporations operate. By setting clear environmental standards, transparent regulations, and long-term planning frameworks, Canada signaled that it was offering more than tax incentives. It was offering institutional partnership. Hosting AI infrastructure carries responsibilities alongside benefits. Data centers place demands on water systems, energy grids, and local environments. These impacts are real and measurable. Canada's approach has been to integrate environmental oversight before construction begins, ensuring that communities are not left bearing hidden costs. This balance between innovation and stewardship is central to sustaining public trust. The broader geopolitical context cannot be ignored. Around the world, Corporations are reassessing where they place their most sensitive assets. Political instability, abrupt regulatory shifts, and jurisdictional conflicts are now considered strategic risks. Predictability has become a competitive advantage. In this environment, Canada's reputation for institutional continuity has transformed from a background trait into a decisive asset. This moment marks a shift in how national power is exercised. Competition is no longer only about territory or manufacturing capacity. It is about data governance, computing infrastructure, and the legal systems that support them. Decisions about where AI systems are built shape how societies function, how economies grow, and how citizens interact with public institutions. The implications extend into daily life. Banking systems, healthcare records, education platforms, and government services increasingly rely on cloud infrastructure. The location of that infrastructure affects security, privacy, and accountability. By anchoring more of this digital backbone within its borders, Canada is asserting that sovereignty now includes control over the invisible systems that support modern civic life. This investment also serves as a test. It tests whether Canada's institutions can manage the scale of technological transformation responsibly. It tests whether environmental protections can keep pace with industrial growth. And it tests whether political stability can be maintained as global pressures intensify. These are not guarantees, but commitments. What stands out most is not the size of Microsoft's investment, but what it reveals about changing global confidence. Canada is no longer being chosen as a secondary option or a convenient alternative. It is being selected as a strategic anchor for the future of artificial intelligence. That distinction carries weight. As artificial intelligence continues to reshape economies, labor markets, and governance, the nations that succeed will be those that align innovation with institutional discipline. This moment illustrates how foresight, consistency, and regulatory clarity can quietly alter the trajectory of an entire region. To keep following the forces reshaping technology, sovereignty, and global power, subscribe and leave a like. These decisions will define the next era long after today's headlines disappear.